Chapter 3. The Sultanate Period. Delhi first became the capital of a kingdom under the Tomara Rajputs, who were defeated in the middle of the 12th century by the Chauhans, also referred to as Chahmanas, of Ajmer. It was under the Tomaras and Chauhans that Delhi became an important commercial center. Many rich Jaina merchants lived in the city and constructed several temples. Coins minted here called Delhiwal and wide circulation. The period from 1206 to 1526 is known as the age of the Delhi Sultanate. Delhi was the capital of the sultans who conquered a large part of the Indian subcontinent. 5 dynasties ruled during this period. Sources. Accounts of travelers and court chroniclers are the most valuable sources of information for this period. The transformation of Delhi into a capital that controlled vast areas of the subcontinent started with the foundation of the Delhi Sultanate in the beginning of the 13th century. Ibn Battuta and Marco Polo visited India and wrote about the conditions during that time. Ziauddin Barni, Shamsai Siraj Afif, and Minhaj Siraj have given a detailed account of court proceedings and details about the personal and public life of the sultans. Coins, inscriptions and monuments are the other important sources that tell us about this period. Rajput dynasties. Tomaras early, 12th century to 1165. Anandapala, 1130 to 1145. Chauhans, 1165 to 1192. Prithviraj Chauhan, 1175 to 1192. Early Turkish rulers, 1206 to 1290. Qutbuddin Aibak, 1206 to 1210. Shamsuddin Iltutmish, 1210 to 1236. Rajia, 1236 to 1240. Ghiyasuddin Balban, 1266 to 1287. Khalji Dynasty, 1290 to 1320. Jalaluddin Khalji, 1290 to 1296. Alauddin Khalji, 1296 to 1316. Tughlaq Dynasty, 1320 to 1414. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, 1320 to 1324. Muhammad Tughlaq, 1324 to 1351. Firuz Shah Tughlaq, 1351 to 1388. Sayyid Dynasty, 1414 to 1451. Khizr Khan, 1414 to 1421. Lodi Dynasty, 1451 to 1526. Behlul Lodi, 1451 to 1489. The Slave Dynasty. The rulers of this dynasty were called slaves or Mamluk sultans. Mamluk in Arabic means owned. Iltutmish and Balban were slaves of Qutbuddin Aibak, who himself was a slave of Muhammad Ghori. Qutbuddin Aibak, 1206 to 1210. The first ruler of the dynasty was Qutbuddin Aibak. Muhammad Ghori had left him in charge of the territories he had conquered in India. After Ghori's death, Qutbuddin began to rule as an independent ruler. Qutbuddin was a kind-hearted and generous man. He was called Lakh Bakhsh or giver of lakhs because he gave away a lot of wealth as charity. He also started the construction of the Qutub Minar. Shamsuddin Iltutmish, 1211 to 1236. Qutbuddin was succeeded by Iltutmish. He is considered the real founder of the Sultanate. Iltutmish faced many problems but dealt with them strongly. He put down the rebellions within the empire. He also protected the northwest frontiers of the Sultanate against possible Mongol invasions. In the east, he expanded his empire up to Bengal. Iltutmish had many sons but considered none capable enough of being his successor. So, he decided to make his daughter, Razia the Sultan of Delhi. Razia Sultan, 1236 to 1240. Razia's reign was short and full of problems. The chronicler of the age Minhaj Siraj recognized that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers. But he was not comfortable as having a queen as a ruler. Minhaj thought that the queen's rule went against the ideal social order created by God, in which women were supposed to be subordinate to men. Period from 1240 to 1266. After the death of Razia and till the accession of Balban, many kings came to the throne. Of them, Nasiruddin Mahmud, another son of Iltutmish, ruled from 1246 to 1266. He was a puppet in the hands of powerful nobles. Ghiyasuddin Balban, 1266 to 1286. Balban was the most powerful ruler of the slave dynasty. He had been an important noble since the reign of Iltutmish and was the real power behind Nasiruddin Mahmud. Balban wanted the people to look up to the Sultan. He introduced the Persian customs of Sizda or Zaminbos and Pebos. The Khalji dynasty. The Khalji sultans ruled for 3 decades. They expanded and consolidated the sultanate further. Jalaluddin Khalji, 1290 to 1296. Jalaluddin was a weak ruler. Jalaluddin was succeeded by his nephew Ali Gashas, who took the title of Alauddin. Alauddin Khalji, 1296 to 1316. The most powerful ruler of this dynasty was Alauddin Khalji. He was an ambitious ruler. Soon after coming to power, he set about his goal of establishing an all-India empire. Expansion of the empire. Alauddin conquered Gujarat and Malwa. This gave him control over the western seaports. Between 1301 and 1303, he campaigned in Rajasthan and captured the forts of Ranthambore and Chittor from the Rajputs. Thereafter, he sent a large army towards the south under his trusted general, Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur defeated the Yadavas, Kakatiyas, Hoslas and the Pandyas. Economic measures. Alauddin Khalji ordered the measurement of all land under cultivation. It was divided into different categories according to fertility. The land tax kharaj was fixed accordingly. To get more money, Alauddin raised the land tax in the Doab region, the fertile land between the Ganga and Yamuna rivers, to 1/2 of the produce. Reforms in the army. The revenue reforms of Alauddin made more money available to him. With that money, he was able to maintain a large standing army. He paid his soldiers in cash. He started branding, dag, horses to prevent the substitution of good horses by inferior ones. The Tughlaq dynasty. The Tughlaq dynasty ruled for close to 100 years. It produced 2 powerful sultans, Muhammad Tughlaq and Firuz Shah Tughlaq. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, 1320 to 1325. The first ruler of this dynasty was Ghiyasuddin. He put down rebellions and strengthened the Sultanate. He was succeeded by his son Jona Khan, who took the title of Muhammad Tughlaq. Muhammad Tughlaq, 1325 to 1351. Muhammad Tughlaq was a very powerful ruler. Ibn Battuta gives a lot of information about his reign. He tells us that the Sultan had great ideas and plans that failed because the common people could not understand them. Taxation in the Doa. To increase revenue collection, the Sultan raised the land tax in the Doab region. However, the king's timing was not good. The Doab was facing a severe famine during this period. To raise taxes at such a time was a mistake. Many peasants abandoned their land. Some of them revolted. Ultimately, the Sultan had to withdraw his orders. Shift of capital. In 1327, Muhammad Tughlaq decided to shift the capital of the empire from Delhi to Devgiri, which he renamed Daulatabad. Most historians believe that there were 2 reasons for it. 1. The Sultan felt that he would be able to control and administer the empire better from Daulatabad since it was located in the center of the empire. 2. The Mongols were a constant threat to Delhi. Daulatabad would be safe from Mongol attacks. Muhammad Tughlaq ordered the entire population of Delhi to move to Daulatabad. People did not want to leave their homes but had to obey the king's orders. However, the king soon realized that it was impossible to keep a watch on the northern frontiers from Daulatabad. So, he ordered a reshift of the capital. All the people who had gone to Daulatabad moved back to Delhi. Introduction of a token currency. In 1329, Muhammad Tughlaq introduced a token currency. There was a shortage of silver during this period. So, the Sultan decided to mint coins of brass and copper for day-to-day use. These coins had the same value as pure silver coins. Further, they could be exchanged for silver coins at any time from the royal treasury. Muhammad, however, failed to check the illegal minting of coins. The design of the coins was simple enough for ordinary craftspeople to copy. As brass and copper were easily available and much cheaper than silver, people bought brass and copper in bulk and started minting coins at home. Khorasan expedition. To expand the empire, Muhammad Tughlaq decided to conquer Khorasan in Central Asia. He raised a large army and spent a lot of money on weapons and other war supplies. The soldiers were also given 1 year's salary in advance as an incentive. However, the expedition was withdrawn because of the difficulties the army would face in an alien land. The soldiers, so recruited, were disbanded. Firuz Shah Tughlaq, 1351 to 1388. Firuz Shah Tughlaq was Muhammad Tughlaq's cousin. He wanted the support of the nobles and the ulema so that they would allow him to rule peacefully. Thus, he gave them bigger iktas, which were made hereditary. So, upon the death of a noble, his ikta would pass on to his son. To please the ulema, he ruled according to Islamic laws. As a result, the nobles and the ulema grew very powerful and began to influence the Sultan in day-to-day administration. As a reformer, Firuz Shah was very successful. He built many canals, tanks, wells, hospitals and rest houses. He founded new towns such as Jaunpur, Firozpur, Firozabad and Isa Firoza. Timur's invasion, 1398. The Mongol ruler Timur was the ruler of a large empire in Central Asia. He invaded India and attacked and looted Delhi. His army massacred thousands of people. With the loot he collected, he beautified his capital, Samarkand, with elegant buildings, palaces and mosques. Before leaving Delhi, Timur appointed Khizr Khan as his deputy in India. Khizr Khan became the first Sayyid ruler. Some aspects of Tughlaq rule. The consolidation of the Delhi Sultanate took place under the Tughlaq Sultans. You have already read about it. Let us now read about some other aspects of Tughlaq rule. The Sultan. The Sultan was all-powerful. To rule, however, he needed the support of the nobles and yet had to keep them in check. There was a constant struggle between the Sultan and the ulema during this period. The court. The Sultan's court was very ceremonial. Sajdah and pebos were performed before him. The Sultan sat on a throne built on a raised platform. The nobility. The nobles were a very powerful group. Most of them were Turkish or Afghan. The rulers often gave high posts to their slaves. Some were governors and others military commanders. Ibn Battuta and Badni mention many people of humble birth who became nobles during the reign of Muhammad Tughlaq. Land control, the Ikta system. During the Sultanate period, the nobles were given grants of land. This land was called Ikta. The nobles who received it were called Iktadars. They collected taxes from the farmers living in their Ikta. The Sayyid Dynasty. The Sayyid Sultans ruled for a brief period. There were 4 Sayyid kings. Khizr Khan Sayyid, 1414 to 1421. Khizr Khan was the governor of Multan under Firuz Shah Tughlaq. After the death of Firuz, he supported a son of Firuz in the War of Succession. When Timur attacked India, he joined him. Before leaving India, Timur appointed him the governor of Multan, Lahore and Deepalpur. Khizr Khan conquered Delhi in 1414 and started the rule of the Saids. Mubarak Shah Sayyid, 1421 to 1434. Mubarak Shah succeeded his father. He was a man of vision and could have revived the old glory of the Sultanate. The nobles, however, were against him. Most of his time was spent in controlling them. Muhammad Shah Sayyid, 1434 to 1443. Muhammad Shah was Mubarak Shah's nephew. The nobles became very powerful during his reign. Alauddin Alam Shah Sayyid, 1443 to 1451. Alam Shah was the next ruler. In 1451, he lost Delhi to Bahlul Lodi. With this, the brief rule of the Sayyid Sultans came to an end.